I had escaped to a remote cabin in the Cascades, a sanctuary of solitude nestled deep in Washington's wilderness, far from the clamor of city life. The dirt road that led me here stretched endlessly through a sea of towering pines, their branches heavy with the first whispers of winter snow. It was early December, and the world outside was hushed, blanketed in a thin layer of frost that sparkled under the weak daylight. For 3 glorious days, I savored the silence. Nothing but the crackle of the fireplace, the occasional rustle of wind, and my own thoughts to keep me company. It felt like a reset, a chance to breathe again, but on the 4th day, everything changed. It was late afternoon when the knock came. Sharp, deliberate, cutting through the stillness like a blade. My heart jolted. I wasn't expecting anyone. Out here, miles from the nearest town, visitors didn't just drop by. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the doorknob, the cold wood pressing against my palm. There was no peephole, no window to peek through, just the door between me and whatever stood on the other side. Steeling myself, I turned the handle and pulled it open. A man stood there, framed by the graying sky. He was bundled in a thick, weathered jacket, a black wool hat pulled low over his brow. His face was ghostly pale, his cheeks flushed red from the biting cold, and clumps of snow clung to his clothes, like he'd been wandering for hours. His eyes met mine, and he offered a smile. Too wide, too warm for a stranger in such a desolate place. "Hey," he said, his voice rough but oddly cheerful. "I'm a little lost. Could you point me toward town?" I blinked, caught off guard. Town was an hour's drive away, a treacherous journey on foot through snow-dusted roads and dense forest. How had he even gotten here? Take a left at the end of the drive," I stammered, gesturing vaguely. "It'll lead you to the main road. Straight shot from there." My words felt hollow, inadequate. He nodded, still smiling, but didn't move. Seconds stretched into an eternity as he lingered on the porch, his gaze unwavering. A chill crept up my spine, not from the wind, but from him. "Safe travels," I muttered, shutting the door with a click that echoed in my chest. Through the wood, I heard the crunch of his boots fading away, and I exhaled, shaking off the unease. It was strange, sure, but I told myself it was nothing. Hours passed. The light snowfall thickened, fat flakes swirling in the growing dusk. I stood by the back door, peering through the glass as the world turned white, wondering if my old sedan could handle the worsening roads. That's when I saw them. Footprints in the snow, snaking around the cabin's perimeter. My stomach dropped. They weren't mine. I hadn't been out back all day. The tracks were deep, deliberate, circling the house like a predator, sizing up its prey. Out here, alone. The idea of anyone wandering so close felt wrong, violating. My mind raced back to the man. Had he come back? Had he never left? I yanked the curtain shut, my fingers trembling, and checked every lock twice, the metallic clunks loud in the oppressive quiet. Night fell hard, the cabin swallowed by darkness. I retreated to the bedroom, trying to drown my nerves with video on my laptop. The glow of the screen was my only comfort, a fragile shield against the growing storm outside. The wind howled now, rattling the windows, and the steady patter of snow against the roof lulled me into a restless calm. I was just drifting off, the laptop still humming, when it came again. 3 sharp knocks at the front door. I bolted upright, my breath catching in my throat. The room spun as fear flooded me, icy and paralyzing. "Hey, it's me again," a muffled voice called through the wood. "I'm still lost. It's freezing out here. Please, can you help?" It was him. My pulse thundered in my ears. Why was he back? What kind of person wandered aimlessly in a blizzard, only to return hours later? I slipped out of bed, my bare feet cold against the floor, and cracked the bedroom door open. The main room was pitch black, the knocking relentless now, each thud a hammer against my sanity. Then, abruptly, it stopped. The silence that followed was worse. Thick, suffocating, broken only by the wail of the wind. I had to know if he was gone. Creeping into the living room, I edged toward a window with a partial view of the porch. My hand shook as I nudged the curtain aside just enough to peek out. The snow glowed faintly under the moonlight, and there they were, fresh footprints leading up to the door, but none led away. He was still there. My breath hitched, a whimper escaping my lips. I stumbled back, fumbling for my phone. The signal was weak, but it connected. 911. What's your emergency? The operator asked, her voice a lifeline. I whispered my address, my plea barely audible. There's a man outside my cabin. He won't leave. 45 minutes, they said. 45 minutes until help arrived. I locked myself in the bedroom, clutching a kitchen knife I'd grabbed on instinct, its weight cold and useless in my trembling hands. The wind screamed outside, a relentless roar, but beneath it, I swear I heard something else. Soft thumps, irregular, like footsteps on the roof. My imagination spiraled. Was he up there, waiting, watching? Time crawled, each second an eternity of dread. Then a loud thud shook the cabin, rattling the walls. I stifled a scream, pressing myself against the headboard, the knife slipping in my sweat-slick grip. Red and blue lights finally pierced the darkness, flashing through the curtains. Relief flooded me, but it shattered when I heard the officer's voice outside. Get down. Now. I dropped to the floor, heart pounding, as shouts and chaos erupted beyond the walls. Another thud, then more yelling. When it was over, I crept to the door, peering out as the officer cuffed the man, his jacket torn, his face blank, snow still clinging to his hat. He was on the roof, the officer told me later, his tone grim. Just sitting there. Didn't say much, but he'd been out there all day, circling the place. They charged him with trespassing, but that was all they could pin on him. He wouldn't talk, wouldn't explain why he'd stayed, why he'd climbed up there in the dead of night. As the police lights faded down the snowy road, I stood alone in the cabin, the silence heavier than ever. The footprints were still out there, etched into the snow like a warning. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. Every creak of the cabin, every whisper of wind felt like him, waiting to come back. And deep down, I knew. Whatever he'd wanted, it wasn't directions.